Hi there everyone, Jan here. This is the third and final part of the Christmas folio that we're doing, and hopefully you will have seen the previous two. The first one being the walkthrough, which gives you an idea of the overall look of the album, and the second one, the cut list, which gives you all the measurements, the scoring, everything that you need to cut out kind of ready, where you need to put the tape and how you need to number everything so that it all lines up. So without any further ado, let's move on to actually assembling the folio. I've just put these bits out here because these are the things that I use and you may find useful. So the glue I always use for everything is Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. It's as good as far as I'm concerned, it's as good as the art glitter glue from Hero Arts, which everyone raves about. But this is at least half the price of that, and I've not yet found anything that it won't stick. So I use that. I find this is absolutely invaluable. This is a Collall and it's a spirit glue, so make sure you have a window open or something, well ventilated area. And I find this really useful if you want some movement, you want to be able to reposition things. And I regularly use just a fairly cheap and standard 1/2 inch, 1.2 centimeters double-sided tape, and I prefer the Su Quang score tape at 1/4 inch, which I think is 0.7 centimeters or something like that. Because the more you, the smaller the tape, the smaller the size you need, the more of a stick, and this is strongest. And very occasionally I will use the red liner tape, but I tend to keep that for my sort of 1/8 inch things that I need to do. So it's worth just having those to hand. As I said in the last video, you can either use glue, wet glue, or you can use tape. I've used tape for speed and, you know, that. Right, okay, so we're going to assemble this in various bits and pieces. The first piece being, let's just quickly go over this for those of you who are using magnets. Let me just move all my bits of card and paper out of the way where I've got it all prepped. There's so many bits and pieces that I kind of wanted to keep them all together. Right, okay, so if you remember let's take these pieces out so it doesn't confuse you. Take all these pieces out. Right, if you remember, the whole album folds up from left to right, and then the right flaps over and it closes like this and will look like this when it's fixed together. So you're going to need, if you're going to use magnets, I described the ones to use last time on the other video, but where you position them. So the first 2 magnets you're going to need, you need to put them, let me just grab a couple of magnets so I can show you. You need to put a couple of magnets, one here, so it's not right up against the corner of this. This is what will be the front flap, and it's the inside of it. So you need to put one magnet here, which is not quite, you know, it leaves a good gap all the way around it. You can actually move it down or around however you want to. Is that 2 magnets I've got there? Yeah, 2 magnets. There we go. So one there. And when you have that stuck down, I stick mine down with double-sided tape. So let me show you where I put my tape. First thing I've managed to lose. Oh, there it is. Right, so I stick mine down with double-sided tape. So if I'm going to put it about here, I make sure the tape doesn't go to the edges, but I stick it down with double-sided tape like this. And then in order to find its opposite position on the other side, I'm going to put another piece of double-sided tape sticky side up, and just hold it there for a moment while I take another magnet and drop it on. That's where it needs to go. Carefully extract your fingers. Then fold it over. Make sure it's lined up perfectly at this top edge and again at the bottom edge, obviously. And press it down. And then when you carefully open it, hold on, that needs to be pressed down a bit more. It's quite sort of slippery, you know. And then when you carefully open it by holding down the tape, that's where the other magnet needs to be, which is just there. Now, okay, so now you need to stick a magnet onto the bottom here, but not on here. Okay, so this one has a magnet on both sides there. This one's only going to have a magnet here. So you pop your magnet down, just choose a spot that's similar to the top there. Doesn't have to be absolutely exact. Stick it down. Let's flatten this to make it a bit easier. Stick it down and leave it alone for the moment. And right, so that's if you're going to use magnets. If you're not going to use magnets, it looks like I'm going to use both actually, magnets and ribbon. If you're not going to use magnets, then skip this part here and start instead with what I'm going to tell you now, which is you take the piece which you should have marked as 8, the page 8, the inside front closure, and we're going to cover that top magnet, and obviously there isn't one at the bottom. Now what I wanted here was a different colour strip, so I've cut my designer series paper piece a little bit short so that I can add another colour strip down it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's just the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to remove my paper. This is the way that I tend to do it. I remove 2 adjacent corners like this, here and here. That gives me a chance to be able to line it up. So now I'm going to take the tape off of this magnet and I'm going to line this up how I want it to be, which gives you a little white border all the way round, which I like, and that's what I've sized it for. And I'm going to press down the piece and hold it down that where I've peeled back the tapes, then carefully remove the tape, and that allows you to line everything up perfectly. And this is like a little tip, and I use this for all my cards, I use this for everything. I do it that way. Right, okay, and I've got a little 1/4 inch strip here of another colour paper because I wanted to use 2 little pieces there. Now, tip for this, if you are going to do the same thing, is put your strip on the outside edge. If you put it on the inside edge, every time you put your tag inside, it's going to catch it. So put it on the outside edge. Just line it up carefully. Leave your little white border. I've got very shaky hands, by the way, so that's why things take me a little while. Sorry about that. And as you can see, it's pretty strong tape. And I always use tweezers for everything. There we go. So that's the inside edge. Don't forget, we haven't got a magnet there. We have up here, but not here. Now the next thing you're going to do is to add your side pocket, and we need to stick around only 2 sides because the other side is going to be open. And the pocket sticks towards the outside edge here, and I'm going to glue down this side and across the bottom. And this is because glue is stronger than tape, much stronger. It actually bonds the paper pieces together, or cardstock pieces together. And I would normally use glue for pretty much everything, wet glue for pretty much everything, but as I say, for speed's sake, I'm using tape today. So I'm going to glue it on these two sides here. Make sure you get the right sides, obviously, and I'm going to glue that pocket down, lining it up with the design series papers. Okay, get my bone folder and give that a little burnish just to make sure it absolutely sticks. Move over and stick there. Thank you very much. There we go. Right, this is where you're going to add your other magnet for your closure. So grab another magnet and again pull off a little piece of this double-sided tape. I hope I'm in frame. Let me just double check. I think I am. Yeah. Again, put it sticky side up and just hold it there. Drop your other magnet onto it and then close your page up again like this. Make sure that this corner here fits right into this fold corner here. Okay, it's worth taking a few moments trouble to get it to line up perfectly, because that's what makes all the difference to your albums, folios, or whatever it is that you're making. So that one will go down, and then you just need to follow the same process and stick excuse me, stick this one down as well as firmly as you can, and hold your piece of tape down. There we go, prized it apart perfectly. And onto here, I'm just going to roll this back a little bit. Onto here we're going to stick the designer series paper that you're going to use, which is going to be this for me. So again, I'm going to remove the top corners. As you can see, I use my tweezers for everything. You're going to remove your piece of the backing tape from your magnet. She says. There we go. And my piece of backing tape is going to overlap, so I just turn it back and stick it down. Because it's double-sided, it's fine. Okay, and I'm just going to stick on my designer series paper, line it up where I want it to be, there and there. There we go. Stick and hold the piece that you've pulled the papers off of, and then just peel it back. There, there, and obviously you've got some pieces here which you're just going to remove. There and there. Right, I'm going to use a mixture of papers for mine, but this doggy paper is a download that I got from Etsy. I'm not wonderfully pleased with it, but it's okay. But this whole album that I'm making this time is for my dog groomer, to put all the photos of the little dogs that she does. Right, so now that, once it's full, will flap over straight away. Don't worry about this one at the moment. I haven't got round to doing this square piece here yet. We will do. Right, okay, so that's front two closure magnets. Now, if you're just going to use ribbon, so I'm going to use both actually, you need a piece of ribbon which I'm guessing is about 1 metre, maybe just under 1 metre, 32 inches, something like that. I like to be quite generous with it so that I'm able to make sure that I've got enough to tie a good bow. So I'm going to leave a piece that's probably about, let's look, that's 6 inches, so that's about 8 inches, something like that. Just, you know, a decent sized piece that you're going to be able to tie a bow with, so about that much. And you're going to start sticking it to the centre of your front closure flap, okay? and you want to measure it so that it goes round the front closure, round the right spine, across the back and round the left spine, and we'll meet in the middle, but we're not going to stick it to the middle, okay, because that's where we're going to finish it. Right, now basically we just need to open this up. So if you're not using magnets, this is what you're going to do instead. We're going to open this up and we're going to apply a bit of tape to hold this down in the centre here. A little bit, you know, a little ways back. So roughly judge the centre, or you can use, I have a Tim Holtz ruler here, which I use all the time. And I believe this is 8 inches, and so therefore it will be at 4 inches. And I'm just going to put a little mark there at 4 inches, which is there. And my ribbon's going to go either side of that, so that's going to mark where the two edges of my ribbon is. Put your tape a little bit further back, because don't forget we're leaving a small margin around each piece. Take your ribbon, nice side out, leave a good length, sort of about that, and stick it down there. Okay, now you're going to take it across. You don't need to stick this, you're going to take it across the spine, which is your outside spine right, across the back, get to your outside spine left, which is here, and this is where we're going to stick it down to. All of this needs to remain loose, otherwise you won't be able to close your album up. So I'm going to take another piece of tape. Firstly, I'm going to quickly measure where the centre is, and it is there. And I'm going to apply a bit of tape that covers that, and then basically your ribbon, however, whatever width ribbon you're using, needs to go, you know, sort of either side of this. Here, take off your tape. You have your little pencil line there to line it up with, and make that the centre of your ribbon. So that's about there. Right, okay, now you can stick this down if you want to. I might just anchor it in a few places. Double-sided tape, because it's going to be covered by the design series paper, and it just stop it moving around a bit. It's not essential, but hey, you know, nothing lost if you do it. Okie doke, so just make sure we remember to remove the backing of that tape before we stick the designer series papers down. Now what you will have is you'll be able to fold your album up like that, like that, like that. Obviously you won't have the magnets, but then you will tie it together here like this. And the reason, you know, the reason why we haven't stuck it down all the way around here is firstly because that overlaps, if you can see, and secondly because we're going to have that square panel on there, and you need to be able to cover the square panel. Right, okay, so that's that done. That's that part done. We have now this stuck down. This is ready. Okay, so we are now going to move on to the inside spines, all three of them. So you have them marked, and you should have your design series paper marked as well. And we are going to just cover them. Nothing difficult about that. Make sure that all of your spine is covered, because it's going to take a weight of the flips and flaps and that. So it's not just decorative. as you can see, I've used my, because this is 3/4 of an inch, I've used, sorry, I can't think in metric, I can work it out, but you'll be able to gather it. It's the 1.5 small spine, and it's 5/8 if you're talking in imperial. And I'm going to stick this down inside here, leaving the little border all the way round. Get it where I want it to be. I've used 2 pieces of tape because I want it to be, you know, stuck down sturdily. Okay, so there should be about 1/8 of an inch border top and bottom on everything, and everything bar the spines. There will be 1/8 of an inch border at the sides as well. The spines I've made closer, so there's maybe a 1/16, you know, just a tiny piece, a tiny border, simply because it will look odd otherwise. Okay, now I lift this up and remove the other piece of tape that I have on here. I used because it's such a small piece to cover, I've used my red liner tape here, my 1/8 of an inch red liner tape, which doesn't want to come off. Sorry about this. Right, there we go. It's normally very quick. Oh, a little tip, by the way, for red liner tape, if you use it and it sticks to everything and you can't get it off, is stick it to a glass jar. So if it's staticky and it's sticking to you, just find a glass jar and it works like magic. It will stick to the glass and not you. So that's a really helpful tip. Right, okay, so that's my first spine done, my narrow one. Now I'm going to do my wider spines. And don't forget, this is just the inside, not the outside. And you should have these marked inside right and inside left. And it should be marked on here what's inside right and inside left as well. So let's take off my tape, line these up. Don't forget 1/8 of an inch top and bottom, but they actually fit the margins on the inside. And as I say, that's because they've got to take a lot of weight. Right, remove all the rest of the backing tapes. That's one. And then I have one in the centre, down here. And here. Stick that down and do exactly the same with the other one, the spine right. If you're not too confident about getting your pieces lined up, then what I do is I use this glue here and just glue a fine line over my score tape, and that gives you some wiggle room so that you can move it around how you want to. This tape today does not want to come up. That's amazing. Shows you how strong it is. Guess it wants me to slow down and make sure I do it properly. There we go, that's one. Then there's one the other side, which is here. You can probably manhandle the papers quite, you know, I mean, they're quite tough and you're going to glue them anyway. And even so, it still managed to peel up from the, still managed to tear in the middle, so. It's interesting today why it's not behaving. Maybe it knows it's on camera. Look, the backing paper is just peeling off in tiny pieces. Never known it do that before. Right, okay, well that's that done, no harm done there. So that's your insides done. Right, okay, so that's that sorted. We're going to put that aside for a moment and we are going to work on our waterfall pages, and that is page 3 or something like that. I'll have a look. It's our waterfall page. Right, okay, so you're going to need a waterfall backing page, which is this one. You should have your, let's move these out of the way. You should have your waterfall pocket, which is page 4, and you should have cut the corners out and taped it like this. So the first job you need to do is to take a ruler and measure down from the top in 1/2 inch strips. So that is, let me see how many centimetres that is. That is 1.3. Please everybody check your centimetres, because I'm not that confident with metric, so I just use the converter chart, or I actually just measure it, and sometimes it's possible that I might get it, you know, accidentally a mil or 2 out. Right, okay, so you're going to, so it's 1.123 by the look of it, centimetres, or 1/2 inch, and you're going to measure down until you reach 2.5 inches, or 6.4 centimetres. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Okay, now working on this piece with your waterfall pages here, you need to label them. By the way, I write all over mine, and I don't bother rubbing it off particularly because it's going to be covered with designer series paper, but you know, obviously you can do as you wish to. So you need, these are labelled 4A, and there's 6 of them, and you're going to label number 1, the first piece, as top page, and we're going to cover that completely with a designer series paper. I just hope this decides to behave a lot better than it has been. What I'll do, hold on, I'm going to show you how to do it like this. So I'm going to take off all of the backing here. So this is how to do it if you're worried about being able to line it up, which I am. As I say, I've got shaky hands, and you know, it doesn't line up for me. So I'm going to use that, take it all off, and I'm going to put a little smear of this spirit glue, hence I've opened my window, sorry if you can hear a noise, all over the backing tape. And that not only makes it doubly strong, the adherence, but also allows you to wiggle it around. Make sure you've got it the right way up. Move that one out of the way, and adhere this to your front waterfall cover sheet. There's a reason why we're calling them front and back and all the rest of it. Okay, so that's lined up. You should have taped, you should have scored and folded under and taped all of your edges. So that's page 1 of the waterfall. Turn that over, and on the back side of that we need to add, you know, I said you need to cut, I think it's about 14 strips. You need to add 1 of them. So we're not going to fully cover every single waterfall page, otherwise you wouldn't be able to close the folio, and that's even before you get your photos stuck to it. If obviously you're not going to stick photos to it, you're just having it as decorative, then please go ahead and cover it as you wish. So I'm just going to stick this down. You see, you can remove it if you've used the glue. It won't stick immediately. You need to get this lined up properly. Goodness me, my hands today are terrible. Right, and stick it down. There we go. It's not quite even on mine, but to be honest, it doesn't matter too much. Right, so that's your piece 1. Piece 2, you're going to need to put a strip at the bottom edge. So your sticky tape is at the top. You need a strip at the bottom edge. Let me just see where this is going to go first. There we go. Remove your tape. It's going to be an awfully long video if this tape sticks like this all the way through. Apologies for this. So we're going to line this up about where we want it. There and there. And stick it down. Now when we turn it to the other side, flip it up as if it would be as if you would have it in your folio, and we're going to apply a strip to the top. Now if you've got a directional pattern, supposing this has got trees or something like that on it, you need to make sure it's the right way up this side, and when you flip it over it's going to be upside down because you need to have the, you know, the direction going in the same way this side. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Made sense to me. Right, okay, so I'm going to stick this along the top edge here. There we go. Right, so that's that, and that's that one done. Put that up there. The third piece we're going to do the same. Third, page 3, page 4, and page 5. We're going to do exactly the same too. So that's one along the bottom edge, she says. Flip it up and one on the top edge. So I need to kind of bring it down to there a bit so I can see it. There we go. This one is the same. Try to get them as neatly lined up on this front edge here because these will be seen. These are the bits that are on show. This is the last one. This is 5. Number 6 we're going to do something different with. Right, this is the last page, number 6, and we're going to completely cover it on the front and put a strip on the back. So again, I'm going to do my trick of using my spirit glue, just because it's easier. A little bit of spirit glue here, here. You don't have to cover it, you just need to put a little thin layer like that. Just gives you some wiggle room. And we're going to line this up the right way up. There we go. Right, now underneath here, as to say, you're going to flip it over and you're going to need a strip underneath there. The idea being that people can either journal here or put their photos or, you know, whatever they want to do there. Right, we have all of those. Now we're going back to our piece that we marked here, across here. You may find it easier to fold your flaps underneath on the side. That's what I'm going to do. And then starting with your piece that was number 1, so you've got a spare piece of this over, okay? Don't worry about that. I'm going to start with our piece that was number 1. That's page 2. Where's our page 1? Page 6. Page 2, that's page 3, piece 3. This is page 1. There we go. Page 3, page 4, and the last page. Helps to just kind of put them in order, really, which is what I should have done. Page 5. On the last page. Right, so this is your top page. It's the one that we covered fully and we put a strip on the back. Now what you're going to do here, these lines here are to help you. It's very, you know, challenging, I think, to line it up if you don't have them. So what we're going to do is we're going to line this top one up here. And you'll see that this should come on that first line there, like that, okay? Like that. And that's where we're going to stick it. So we're going to peel off the backing paper. Excuse me. Add a little bit of my glue. You don't have to if you're quite confident with sticking in straight lines. As I say, I'm not particularly. And we're going to make sure that this flap goes this way round, so that when you open it, so that when it's closed it's like that, and when you open it it's like that. Okay, so we're going to stick it down, and this edge here is going to go on this first pencil line that we have here. And as I say, it's easier to hold your flaps, beside flaps underneath. And it's worth spending a couple of moments getting this nice and straight as you can. There we go. And give that a good burnish down. And that will open like that. So this top edge here is along the top edge of the pocket that we're doing. Now we're going to take number 2 and do the same. This is one that's got just strips front and back. And we're going to work our way through all of them until we get to the last one. So, backing paper off. And turn it over, line it up so that this edge here is fitting onto this line here. And of course that your side edges are in a straight line. So pop it on, don't stick it down firmly until you've checked that your edges match perfectly. Then you can go ahead and stick it down firmly. Make sure it lines up. Stick it down. We're just out of lockdown here today in England. Well, parts of England are, my part is anyway. And the first place I'm going is the nail shop, nail bar. Because as you can see, my nails are looking extremely tatty. So as soon as I can finish this and go out, that's exactly where I'm going. And hopefully look a bit more presentable for my next video. There we go. Make sure that's all lined up. So making sure all the time that this is lined up. I notice on mine I've probably cut them a tiny bit too big, but it doesn't matter at all. It really doesn't. Right, now your last one, your last actual flap that looks like this is going to be stuck underneath this. We don't have a line for it. You could draw a line if you wanted to. But another way to do it, if you don't want to draw the lines, is to make sure that this is folded over and butt it up to the bottom of the one above it, so there's no gaps. Oops. You see how useful that glue is, to add that glue. Right, that should come to there so there are no gaps. Now you can burnish it. Open it up, and this bottom piece, this is your other piece of designer series paper, is going to stick here like this. So fold your bottom flap up. just double check again that I'm actually in view. Yes, it appears that I am. Again, we're going to need some of this. And we're going to stick this down. Now that's the way your waterfall works, this way round, and this like this. Go up. And this needs to go this way round down here. And you can take this right down to the bottom. Don't leave an edge because you have an edge here. Okay, so that's taken right down to the bottom of the flap, so that when that's folded under, there's no border. There's border either sides, but not a border down at the bottom. Right, now the next thing we need to do is to work our way through it, adding all of the extra strips that we have to cover up these gussets here. Okay, so we'll start with the first one. Again, try to keep them in line because they can get a bit unruly. And just work your way through it. And if for some reason you haven't stuck this on exactly square to the paper, this is your chance to address that, because as long as this is tightly butted up to the one below it, it will bring it all back into line. If you can see, my one here is minutely out, just a tiny bit out, but my strip is straight because it's butted up to the top of the one below. And you do the same here, and you just work your way all the way down. Taking care to line it up, making sure as much as possible that that doesn't go over the score line. Mine has here a little bit, but again it doesn't matter because when I open up the waterfall, it's going to be fine. Now I notice that mine is not in line there, so I'm just going to fold that up and burnish it. That's a nuisance, it's the only one that's out by the look of it. So I'm going to hold it where it should be at the bottom and use my bone folder to gradually push up all of the cardstock and burnish it where it should be. Not a problem, that's better. Now this one, and you know what, I think I needed to have cut another piece. It's a nuisance. Again, butt this up, leave a little gap at the edges. And I have just one more strip left, and I should have two. I haven't cut enough, so I'm going to miss this one out, but I will cut a strip for this one later. And you go to the end here, the last one here, and you add a strip to cover this. Sorry, I've cut too short, so you need a strip to cover this. So it looks like it's actually 16 strips you need rather than 14. My mistake, so sorry. And you use this to straighten up the bottom one perfectly. Okay. Right, what I will do before I stick mine down probably is put this onto my guillotine and just trim across these edges so that it lines up with my folded piece underneath. I've obviously kind of not cut it exactly square. In fact, let me see if I can get that done now. It's not essential that you trim it, but you know, it's just if you want to sort of really be perfect with it. Whether this is going to go under my guillotine or not, I don't know. If not, I will trim it by hand. This is my Tim Holtz guillotine, which I absolutely love. No, it won't go under. Right, okay, never mind, I will trim it by hand. So let's get my large scissors, my Tim Holtz scissors. The longer the blade, the easier it is to cut. Turn it over and just where it should line up there, just trim off these pieces very carefully. These are sort of non-stick, which is brilliant. And if you're not like me, you will have lined yours up perfectly beforehand, before sticking them down. Right, that's decidedly better. So this is now your waterfall. Don't forget there will be strips here and there will be a strip here. I just didn't cut enough, so it's 16 strips you need, not 14. There we go, there we go. That one needs to come down to there, and this one needs to come down and cover it. There we go. Right, so the idea being is that you can see all your little, you know, your little 1/2 inch papers there. Okay, so that's the backing. That's going to stick to that. Now we need the pocket that's going to fit to this. So you should have your pocket piece, which is 4B. And the way that you do this, if on here we're not going to have any folds, it's going to be a flat pocket. So the best thing to do in order to be able to get tags in it is to stretch the paper. So using your bone folder, just lightly curl the top edge, not the bottom edge, just the top edge. And that, when you stick that down, that gives you just enough of a bend and stretch to be able to pop your tags in, etc. So now then, I haven't taped this one. Oh, it's because it needs glue, because it's a thin piece. So let's add your design series paper to the outside, which is going to fit like that. It's a perfect fit. There aren't any borders top and bottom. The only border is at the side. There we go, hold that down. Remove your backing papers. Remove your backing, your tape backing. I'm really sorry if you hear any dogs barking in a minute. It's because the postman's around and I'm afraid my dogs are not very happy with the postman. It's the post they don't like. The postman, they love the postman. If we see them out in the street when we're walking, my dogs are just all over them. But when they put stuff through my front door, they don't like that at all. Right, okay, so again, you just, you know, just kind of go over that stretch. And it's only on the top edge. You don't need to stretch the, in fact, you shouldn't stretch the bottom. Just stretch the top. Now we're going to stick this down underneath our waterfall. So we're going to stick it down to the actual backing paper. So this is the sheet that's going to be stuck to the album. And if you'd like to line it up first, God, made this one too long as well. I'm sorry about this. That's why you really need to line it up first, just to make sure. So it should be the entire width of the backing sheet. So this measurement here, I don't know why I've cut mine too long. I hope the measurements that I've given you are not incorrect, but if they are, this pocket should measure 5.5 inches, which is 13.8 centimetres. Now, making sure your paper's the right way up, we're going to put a thin line of this glue, whatever wet glue you're using. You can use tape, but it really reduces the amount of space that you have to fit a tag into, but it's up to you. If you're more comfortable with tape, that's fine. So as you can see, I've put a very thin line round the two sides and along the bottom, and I'm going to line this up and stick it down completely flush with the bottom and sides. Right, now as you can see, by stretching the paper a little bit, the bottom is actually the exact fit, but the top is a bit looser, and that's, you can do that with all pockets that you make that are flat pockets without fold under pieces. Ooh, itchy nose means I'm going to get a surprise. Right, now then, we need to adhere this to this, and this we need to line up. Right, so we need to line up the bottom of this folded under piece here and these sides. We need to line that up just slightly above the pocket, so center it up so that you've got a little bit of the design series paper showing here and a little bit of the design paper here. If you put it right down there, you can't get the tag in. You could actually even bring this right up to the top and have more of a border here. Right, the dogs are going to go berserk because there's the postman. So sorry about this. Right, so you're going to, having the gap at the top, you're going to peel off your two sides, the backing paper off of the two sides. Hold that down and bring up the bottom flap so that it sticks to it, like this. That gives you your pocket. Then you can remove your tape from the bottom, add a little bit of glue. I would just do this to be on, firstly to be on the safe side, but also secondly, as I say, it gives you an additional, gives it additional sticking power. So I'm actually going to take this to the top and the sides. I'm not going to leave a gap or much of a gap at the top. It's probably easier to do it this way around, to be fair. I'm going to line this up with this side. Line it up across the top and this side, make sure it's straight. See the wiggle room, you know, you can kind of fiddle about with it a bit until you get it where you want it. Press that down and make sure this is going to stick on here correctly. It needs to come over a little bit. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle room. And there we go, making sure it's straight up the sides, which it is. That's perfect. And we're going to just burnish that down. Probably better to burnish it from the back. Put a bit of elbow grease into it. Right, pop that aside for a moment while we do the tag and the closure. The front closure is via a pocket at the bottom here, and that will hold it all closed. So this is the closure. Yeah, that's the tag. Right, okay, so you have your 4C closure piece, and I'm only going to add design series paper to the front of it, but you can add design series paper to both sides if you want to. I'm assuming the person's going to want to put photos on the back, so that'll be fine. Right, I've forgotten to tape it, so I'm going to use my glue. Run a thin bead along here, here, oops, and just a little bit in the middle. Then line it up. Leaving a small border all the way round of about 1/8 of an inch. This glue wants to really grab quickly. It's lovely glue, brilliant. But you have to be pretty careful. Right, okay, that's good enough. It's fine. Now that is going to be your closure and is going to fit in your pocket here to hold all of that down. Okay, and as I say, you can either cover the back with DSP or you can just leave it blank for a photo. Now in the top of this is going to be a tag. In the last video I said that you could probably get several tags in here. I'm thinking probably up to about 4. Right, my eraser, just to take off this bit here, because that will show otherwise. And I think I've had the foresight to put some tape on it. I have, brilliant. So we're going to do our usual trick. We're going to cover it front and back. Line it up, leave your usual border. Don't forget, if like my first one, if you don't want to have the borders, then just put some lace or some bling or, you know, something else on them. I may put some bits and pieces on here, probably some bling. Don't think I'll put lace on it because it's a doggy album, but who knows. It's there. Also, putting edges and borders, even if it's just strips of designer series paper, can cover up any mistakes, like where you haven't lined it up properly or something. I find that absolutely invaluable. Besides giving extra dimension to it, it hides a multitude of sins. So I'm doing mine front and back. This makes it, obviously, if you're going to do tags and you want to do it front and back, people can still put their photo on top of it. It will be kind of framed by the design series paper, and also it adds strength to the paper, to the card, because don't forget we're just using that thin cardstock inside. The thinner the cardstock, the more pages and flips and flaps you can get on it. The thicker the cardstock, obviously the fewer pages and that you can get. Right, now in the other video I said I wanted to add a tab to this, and so that you can pull it out of the top of the pocket, and the easiest way to do that is to cut a circle. Use a die or a punch. I used a punch, which is my 1-inch punch, which is 2.5 centimeters, and fold it in half, and then you glue almost. So you fold it in half and you apply glue to half of the half, if that makes sense, on both sides. So you leave a gap in the middle that isn't glued, okay? And then you just simply stick this to the center of your tab. I mean, there are lots of fancy tab dies out there, and I do have quite a few myself. But this is the simplest way to do it, and then you just kind of line it up by eye. Fold it over so it's front and back. And there you have a nice little pull tab. Perfect. Does the job perfectly. Right. Actually, just thinking about it off the top of my head, you could cut it in half. Instead of folding it in half, you could cut it in half and actually have the circle bit at the top and stick the straight bit at the bottom. That would be nice as well. Right, so let's put all of these aside for the moment, whilst we work on the booklet. The booklet. This is the bit that looks the most complicated, but actually is not at all. Right, so you have your tunnel page. We're not what we will do with this, if you remember in the last video I showed you how to cut this piece out. Now we're going to do exactly the same with the designer series paper, but to get it lined up, cut it square, line it up with the top edge, leaving your 1/8 borders either side, and you'll notice that you've got a larger border at the bottom, 1/4 of an inch. That's fine. Get that lined up and hold it. In fact, you can, you know, I love paper clips. I use paper clips for everything. Getting my pieces straight. Turn it over. Use your same punch again and line it up exactly where you had it before. Punch it again. Okay, and then when you come to stick this designer paper down and you move it down, you've actually got the white border going round the little semicircle, as well as round the rest of the card. So let's get that stuck down, because there's no reason not to. So we're going to remove this. On all of these big pieces here of your designer series paper, put at least one more strip. So go around the outside edge, put at least one more strip. In some cases I'll tell you to put 2 down because it's going to hold some weight, okay? But 1 for this one is sufficient, because it actually doesn't hold any weight at all. It'll hold, you know, a couple of photos, or if you just want to use pretty designer paper, you know, that's absolutely fine. So again, line it up, starting at the bottom with where you want it to be. Make sure it's as straight as you can get it at the 2 sides. Don't press it down until you're sure. It needs to come up a little bit. Yep, I think that's not too bad. not too bad. Right, remove your papers. As I say, any little indiscrepancies, you just cover them with strips of paper or bling or whatever you want to do. So it's not too much of a problem. Right, so that's the actual pocket page, and you're going to have your flaps are going to be folded under, and you're going to have those taped ready and your little corners cut out. Put that aside for the moment while we work on the booklet. Right, okay, so your booklet pieces are, there are 3 pieces to your booklet. There's the large outer page, which I asked you to put a fold at the top, and you fold that at 3/8 of an inch, not 1/2 an inch, and you put tape on the back one, not the front one. Okay, so now we're going to fix these 2 together and remove this tape, and you're going to overlap, so you have your back page with the flap downwards like that, hold it like that, and the front page with the flap going the other way, and we're going to line those 2 up and we're going to stick them together. And probably the easiest way to do it is to put it out flat and line these 2 up. Make sure that it comes right up to the score line but doesn't go over it. That's the inside, that's the outside, that's the inside. Give it a bit of a burnish. Now you can, on the outside, I think I did on the other one that I made, you can cut a thin strip of paper to go down here if you want to. I haven't for this one. Right, okay, so taking the front cover, this one here, and again, I haven't cut all of my pieces of paper yet. I need to print some more off because, as I say, these are from Etsy and I didn't print off enough sheets. But basically, you're going to cover front and back of all pieces of this. So at the moment, I'm just going to cover this outside edge. You only need to put tape around the outside edges of these pieces. I'm going to cover it, leaving my gaps all around there. Remove the paper. I absolutely hope that in all of this video I'm in frame as much as possible. The only way I can find out is by sticking my head directly under the camera and having a look, and trust me, nobody wants to see that. So I just have to trust. I remember when I made videos before, I actually marked out a place on my bench where I could work within, and I think I might do that again actually. It's probably the best way of doing it. Right, so you should be covering front and back of all pieces, but I've only got 2 pieces cut out. I need to print off some more DSP and cover, so I'm only doing outside front and inside back at the moment. I'll post pictures of my final album once I've completed it, and I hope anybody who does make this, sorry, not album, folio, anybody who does make the folio shares with us all as well. It's really nice to see what other people do and what their interpretation of it is. It actually comes together pretty quickly once you've got all the prep work done. The biggest amount of prep work is doing all the cutting. That's why I do the separate video for it. Like I say, I tried writing it all down and just got in such a muddle, it was crazy. Right, okay, so that's the outside piece, and it's going to go like that, and you have this top gusset of 3 3/5 of an inch. And I forgot to write down what that is in metric, but I did say it at the start. Right, your second largest piece, where you scored it in the middle, which is, I think I mentioned you score it one way and then you turn it round and score it the other way, because this is an unusual size. It's about, well, mine's come up a 1/4 of an inch, which I think it should be actually. Right, now on this front page here, I'm going to rub out all of my workings out, because this only has a strip on it. It only needs a strip. I mean, there's nothing stopping you cover it with DSP if you want to, but you don't have to, because the person's photographs will cover the rest of it. This is why I'm suggesting that you just write very lightly with pencil when you're marking it all out, so that it doesn't leave any marks, any lines. So you have your strips cut. There were 2 pieces of design paper and 2 strips I suggested that you cut, and we're just going to add a strip. Oops. Come on, line up. It looks as if, the way I've measured it, which I prefer actually, that there's less than 1/8 of an inch gap either side. It looks as if it's more like a much smaller gap. Right, so in the outside piece, like that, you put a strip. On the inside, you cover. With one of the pieces that we cut to size. Again, line it up, line it up. And if it's directional paper, make sure that it's going in the right direction before you stick it down. Bearing in mind that this flips up. Right, okay, that's going out there. There we go. Remove your backing tape. Press it all down. This one below it is going to have just the strip. Let's rub that off. Gosh, I hope my phone has got enough memory to hold all of this. Just thought about that. I haven't deleted the other videos yet. Right, so let's just line this up like we did with the front one. Stick it down. There we go. And on the back, we're going to cover it by flipping this up and bearing in mind that this needs to go this way round. I like these little puppies, they look like they're photo bombing. It's cute. Remove these tapes. Any little bits that you get hanging over, just push them to the inside. You definitely don't want them to stick out, because they'll just stick to absolutely everything. Bit of glue. Unfortunately, I didn't have a camera. I've got a camera that will take videos, but it'll only take 29 minutes of video, which is just not enough at all, actually. Nothing like enough. Not the way I waffle on, anyway. Right, again, stick that to the back, lining it up. And now we're going to take off this piece of tape here. I'm going to use some of my stronger glue, my Cosmic Shimmer, which will also, by the way, give you a bit of wiggle room, just sort of less than the other one. I want this to be nice and strong. And we're going to stick this in the centre of this. Front page. Should I say that's the front page or that's the front page? It could be either. I'm going to keep this one as the front page. So I'm going to open it this way round. Don't forget this will be covered the same as that. And I'm going to put this in between the two score lines from the bottom. Line it up. There is a tiny, tiny gap either side. So the outside cover is very, very minutely, I suppose, larger than the inside leaflet, the inside piece, this piece here. Make sure they're straight. Push that down and give it a burnish. I'll set that aside to dry for a moment. And then I've got a mounting of tape backing papers here in front of me. Hope you're not distracted by them. And we're going to do the same thing with the inner booklet, the smallest one. So again, we're going to keep it like this. We're going to cover this front page. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to cover the front page, leaving the little margins all round. Looks like no margins at the side, but there are top and bottom. There we go. Inside that one, as we flip it open, we need to put a strip at the top. Very small margin all the way around this one. I went by the sizes of photographs that you can put here. That's why some have got wider borders than others. This one here we're going to cover completely. This way round. There we go, margin top and bottom. And on the back we're going to add the strip. Again, whoops, stick that little bit down as it's popped out. You add a small margin to this one so that you've got room to put a photo if you want to, or obviously journaling if you prefer. Right, let's get this back. And on this one, because it's only a very small border in the middle, very small margin in the middle, I used red line tape, which is the strongest of all of the tapes that you can get. And I'm also going to use a little bit of my Cosmic Shimmer glue as well. This dries clear, Cosmic Shimmer, but it dries shiny, so just be aware of that. Wipe off a bit of that, it's a bit too much. And then again, we're going to do exactly the same as we did last time, and that is line it up between the two score lines from the piece below. This is the same size as the piece below. Make sure your outside edges are okay and give it a good burnish. Now, burnish from this side. That all folds up like that, and your booklet works by that page, that will be covered, this page, and then you have these pages as well, like this. Okay, and that's going to pop inside your pocket here, which will be, you can either put half the pages inside like that, or you can put all bar the back page inside, so it will be looking like that. Right, let's put that aside for the moment as well. Now we're going to work on these flip pages, which is really simple. These are pieces 3A and B, top flips and bottom flip, and basically you're just going to cover them both sides with DSP. When you fold, I need to check actually, so don't put any tape on these outside edges yet until I check which side they're going to go, because this is the one that's the trickiest. I suppose I could have done this first actually, couldn't I? Don't need me to see me sticking down bits of paper really, do you? But there you go. And also, I'm so sorry, I'm no good at technology at all. I'm complete and utter technophobe. So I don't know how to fast forward videos. So if there's bits that you don't want to watch, then you just need to fast forward it as you go. I don't have any confidence at all when it comes to technology. And it's not like people haven't tried to show me, they have, but I just don't get it. Oops, and this one here, this way up. Right, there we go. Now you should also have 2 envelopes that you've cut to the size that I've mentioned before. You could do 1 envelope and put it slanted on the page, but I'm going to use 2 envelopes, one on top of the other like that. And basically I've made these from just photocopier, you know, printer paper, so they're thin, and then they can put either a card or, you know, any ephemera or whatever it is that you want inside. And when I've taped the back of them, I've just put a thin 1/4 inch tape all the way round the 3 sides, so that the top part is open. You can use it as a pocket for tags and things like that. Done the same with both of them. So that is that lot done. Right, that now brings us to these fold out pages. Oops, hold on, just trying to grab them at the moment. Right, so we have, let's get the flips done first. So we have the centre page, which is page 6 centre. I haven't put tape around mine for a reason. I'll tell you in a minute. Oh, I could put tape actually down the 2 sides. This is how I tape everything. Hold on. This, and then I use a trusty acrylic block to line up and just rip the tape. Now this is one that you can put additional tape in the middle, but don't put it right up to the top and bottom. So just put it in the actual middle. Doesn't have to be lined up specifically anywhere, but just put a couple of strips for extra strength. Right, okay, so now we need to decide what's the top and bottom, and you should have 2 pieces. She says there should be 2 pieces. There it is, 6 A and B centre. Right, okay, so if you mark them A and B, and A is at the top, this needs to be covered with the designer series paper, which I haven't put tape on, so I will glue it. So you can cover the top one, but not the bottom one yet. It's important to get these steps right, otherwise it's a nuisance. You can't really sort of repair them afterwards. Although I'll tell you one idea that you can use. Right, so this is the top piece only, top flap only, okay? Put your designer series paper on the outside, but not on the inside, if you're using magnets. If you're not using magnets, then you can put it, you know, you can just cover it. Right, so if you're using magnets, again, we're going to just tear off a piece of tape. We're going to get 2 magnets, and we're going to put one on the bottom outside, the B piece outside, and make it a little way down and as rough, as close to the centre as you can. Tape that down, and then we can cover that with a designer paper. Take that off, pull that little tiny ridiculous piece out. Just decided to mess about. There we go. Find your next piece of designer paper. And again, either glue it or tape it, whichever you prefer. If it's directional like this is, make sure you have the right direction. The magnet is on the edge away from the fold, okay, away from the fold, so it's on the top edge. Cover it with your DSP. Am I still filming? Yes, that's good. Right, now you need to adhere your bottom flap, the one that's got the magnet on it, to the back of the DSP, to the back of the sheet of DSP before we stick it down. So that goes underneath there. That's why I didn't put tape along there. So we need to line that up, push it as far down as it will go and fold this up. Remove your backing tape. Push it as far as it will go and fold that over, making sure your sides are lined up. Now we can do the same with the top flap. So again, you line this up with the top. This is the one that doesn't have a magnet on it yet. Make sure it all lines up properly. Turn it over. Make sure it butts up perfectly. Okay, now you can add tape to those two edges, to those two outside flaps. That's here. I'm really trying to rush this as much as I can because I'm not sure how much my camera will hold, but also I'm aware that, you know, sometimes these videos go on a long time, but I didn't want to break it into two pieces again. Right, okay, so now you have your magnet on the bottom. You need a piece of tape, sticky side up over where you think your magnet is, there. Drop on your other magnet. Like that. Fold the top flap down and stick it to it. There we go. And then we can cover this. We can cover the two insides. I think my desk is getting messier and messier. I hope this doesn't distract you. Glue all the way around the outsides. A little bit in the middle. And stick down. Make sure it covers your magnet. And do the same with the bottom one. Again, just watch out if you've got directional paper. I haven't, but if you have, just be aware of where you're sticking it so it's the right way up when you open the flips. Right, so this is the centre, and inside here they can put photos here and here and here, but also because if it's magnetised, if you use the magnetised, you can just put free floating photo mats inside there as well. Right, let's move that out of the way. Now, I haven't cut all the pieces of paper that I need for this because it's a lot of paper, and I haven't printed them all out. It's 16 pieces of DSP you're going to need for this. We're going to do pages 5 and 7 together at the same time. Okay, so I've already done one, but I've left the other side to do so I can show you how to do it. Right, okay, so let's make a start with page 7C or 5C, whichever you want. Doesn't make any difference. 7C. And on both of these, on each of these, we have a pocket. So we have a 5C and a 7C pocket. They were both made like this with the flaps going around, and the way that we taped it was when we folded it up, we taped the inside because this is going to wrap around the DSP, so we don't need to stretch it. So for piece 5, doesn't matter which piece you choose, but for piece 5C, we're going to have the pocket on the left hand side, and on piece 7C, we're going to have it on the right hand side. Okay, so this is, sorry, we're going to have it the other way round. So on piece 7C, it's going on the left hand side, and on piece 5C, it's going on the right hand side. Sorry about that mistake that I made there. Right, okay, so we just need to, I've taped it a bit prematurely here, but anyway, fold back some of your tape, take off this piece here, because that's not needed, and fold back half of this as well, and then you butt your pocket up as tightly as it will go, and fold over the edges so that your pocket is actually, oops, do the two sides first and then the bottom edge so that your pocket is actually stuck to the DSP. Has that got tape on it? Yeah, it has. Take the tape off. There we go. So that it's like that. Okay, so that and then you can push this back just to keep it covered, so that your pocket is actually stuck to the edge. And like I say, it needs to go to the left edge on 7C and the right edge on 5C. Then adhere your design series paper. Do each of them the same. So that's 7C, and that's going to go on this side. This is 5C, it's going to go on this side. There's your pocket. So we're going to remove tape backing. Oops, not the tripod, sorry. remove the piece of tape from here and a bit, fold it back here and here. Pop your pocket onto it, onto the design paper. This way round. I pulled the tapes off the wrong side, haven't I? Yes, it will go upside down. Which side did I remove the tape from? Yes, it will go upside down. That's okay. Right, that's a thing to remember then, is just to make absolutely certain that you have your papers, if they're directional papers, that you have them the right way up. Butt that pocket up, stick it down, fold over, and fold these sides round. Oops, take up that piece of backing and stick these down, pop that backing back again just to cover it, just to keep it okay. And that goes like that, and you can stick down your DSP to the top to cover it. Bits here, and my paper goes that way round. Okie dokie. Oops. As I say, I'm really trying to rush here for you guys. Don't want you to fall asleep. There we go, that's the pockets covered. Pop those to the sides, out of the way. And we will make a start on the flips and fold out. So let's just pop these out of the way for the moment while we make a start on these. Now I've already done one, as I say, one's already completed, but I've left the other one so that we can go through exactly how to do it. What you end up with is this, a concertina fold that has a gusset. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. This is my right hand side one, so this is my 7, and I've stuck it together. So let's get the left hand side one completed. Let's put that out of the way. Right, okay, so on each side this is what you do. You take the one that has the gusset down the middle, and again this is one where we scored in at 13.9 centimetres or 5.5 inches, then turned it round and scored in the same on the other side, because this is an odd measurement here. Right, okay, so, oops, I've got an itchy arm. So that is your top page, right? So you're going to open it like that, and in here we're going to stick one of these. It doesn't matter which one, because we're going to stick it underneath. She says, let me look at the other one. Yes, it needs to fold behind. So my mistake, it needs to go behind, so it's like this. Okay, so you've got your top edge one with your folds like this. You can take either of these pieces of card, because they're the same, and slip it underneath with the flip over, the bit that you stick on the top here, like this. Then you line it up, make sure it's lined up all the way, make sure it's butted up as far as it will go. Remove your tape. Move the tape back in, fold it over and stick it down. That will give you this, the start of a concertina fold. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing again. This one needs to open this way. Right? So you're going to take you turn this over, is the easiest way to do it. Again, slip your outside one underneath, like this. Do this as a dry run first. Because you'll make the same mistake I've just made. Slip this on the top like that and then turn it over. Make sure it's lined up and butt it up. Remove your tape. So yeah, put it all together first without sticking it down, just so that you can see in your own mind how it goes. So you end up with fold, fold and fold with a gap, with a side piece here. Okay, so when you open it like that, like that, like that, like that, and then that's it. And we need to cover basically, right, so you have it like this. This is your top edge, your front edge here, and that's the first one that's going to have a piece of just ordinary design series paper on it. So I'm going to use this one. You need to put strips down here like this. This isn't going to take any weight apart from photos that somebody might stick down to it. Remove these two. Am I still filming? Yep, just about, that's good. Hold this flat, line it up with your 1/8 of an inch gaps all round. Get it as straight as you can and stick it down. Stick it down in the middle and then lift up and remove these. So this is the gusset is to the left. When you're doing the page 7, the gusset will be to the right. So this is 5, page 5, and the gusset is to the left. This is page 7, and the gusset is to the right. So we're going to do the same thing here with the design paper. Stick it down. Line it up with your 1/8 of an inch border all round. Stick it down. These are identical, so that's why I'm working on them both together. It's the simplest way to do it, quickest way to do it as well. That way you can make sure that you're not getting yourself confused about where the pieces of paper need to go, piece of design series paper need to go, etc. Right, so that's that. So we have the front page and the front page, okay, like that. Now you open it, and on this page here, you're going to put this pocket page that we made, and the pocket goes into the center gusset like that. Okay, Take off your backing paper, take off the backing strips. Hopefully you will have applied some more double-sided tape along this bit that we stuck down, but I'm just trying to cut down on the time, so I'm going to do mine with glue. So, a little bit of glue. Some glue. Just to make absolutely certain. And I'm going to stick this down, leaving my little borders all round. And that should come to just inside the score line here. Definitely don't go over the score line, okay? So that closes out. That's your front page, that's what's on the inside page. Then basically it's just a case of covering all of these, front and back. So that's your 7 that opens this way, and your 5 that opens this way, okay? So this is going to be stuck to the inside cover. There's your outside cover, this is your inside cover. Remove your tapes. I actually am not going to stick down all the inside sheets now because you get the idea and it will just take up too much time. But I'll show photos afterwards. But basically all of the other sheets need covering with your pieces of, your 16 pieces of DSP that you've cut out, or that you've sort of pieced together, or whatever you want to do with that. Yeah, and I'm going to stick this down, leaving my little gap all around. Make sure that this doesn't come over this score line. Leave a little gap, you know, 1/16 of an inch maybe, but definitely don't go over it. Otherwise you won't be able to open it and pull it all out. Right, okay, so let's imagine that all of our other pieces are covered like this, you know, front and back. Which, like I say, I'll do later. So let's pop that out of the way. Right, all that needs to be done now is to cover the outside of the folio and put all of the inside together, which will take a very short period of time. So, your outside album. Don't forget, I've got magnets and I've got this. Now, the piece that you are not going to cover at the moment is this that you have marked front cover. Everything else can be covered, but not that, because we're still yet to fix another magnet to this. So find all of your pieces of designer paper, which are here. And let's just get a D-ring, really. You've got them all measured out, it doesn't matter, sort of make sure that you've got the right piece, because one of them is smaller. This front page here is smaller than all of the others, so make sure that you line them all up first to make sure you've got the right one. And I have put 2 pieces. Yeah, I've put 2 pieces of tape down it. Sorry, I was just, for some reason I've marked this as inside front cover. Oh, I know why. It's because this folds inside. Right, okay, so line up with all your little borders. Oops. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. Come along. Behave. What's that? There, there, there. And make sure that top one is level, which it just doesn't want to do. It wants to stick itself down before. There, that's better. Now behave yourself. Move all these pieces of tape. 1, 2. Sorry, I just have to kind of move this around all over the place. It's quite large and unwieldy. And I've got a really small space to work from. Oh, I took the tape off of that, that's why. And this one here, the outside edge here. Shouldn't complain about this tape, it's doing a brilliant job. There we go. Then you have your small spine. You have the 2 large spine pieces and you have a small spine piece. Get all this junk out of the way. 2. She says, and doesn't have it herself. I wonder if it's this piece. I wondered what it was. Is it this piece? Yeah. There we go. I'm just going to glue that down. I found these odd pieces as I was going through. I thought, I wonder what that is. And then halfway through making the album, you discover what it is. It's because there's a lot of little bits and pieces to it. If you're making an actual album, it wouldn't be like this because we would do it page at a time. But it's because we're trying to do the whole thing in one go. So make sure this lines up, top and bottom. You've got your little borders. There we go. Stick that down. Don't cover this middle piece yet because we've got to sort out these magnets. Then do one of your wider borders. Now if you're using ribbon, as I have, I've got it stuck down there. Cover it with your design series paper. I have to keep checking my my phone video to make sure it hasn't switched itself off, because it doesn't ping or anything to let you know. And I've done so many videos in the past where it's actually switched itself off, run out of memory, and I've carried on and made the entire album, not realising. Right, so that sticks over there like that. Tuck all this underneath to make it easier for yourself. This one here is, just make sure by lining it up and measuring it. I think they're both the same. Yeah, they're both the same. Take your pieces of backing tape off. Ooh, sitting here in front of the window, the sun's come out, which is wonderful. Hasn't been like that for days. You only need one piece of tape down the middle of the back because nothing is going to go on it. let's line this up. Try to line it up with your sides so that everything is, you know, level. All the tops are level. If you find that it's out a little bit, make sure your top edges line up. It doesn't matter too much about the bottom edges if you haven't cut the paper exactly straight, because the top edges is the first impact area that people look at, and we can always do something about it as well, i.e. embellishments. I do love a good embellishment. Covers a multitude of sins, besides which I absolutely adore a bit of bling. Right, stick down and don't be so naughty. There, right, okay, so this is the other spine. Stick this down. Oops. You should have them marked up as outside right and outside left. This one is outside right. Line it up. Stick it down, and this is your front closure piece. Okay, stick this, line it up, and stick it down. Again, as you can see, I've got a bit too much of a gap here, so I'm going to add some bling or something there just to finish it off. Obviously, I wasn't too accurate at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Right, okay, so now this will fold up like this, like this, like this, and it will stick together here, but we haven't got this piece on. And because I've added ribbon, I'm going to have to stick my piece underneath. So you won't have ribbon on here as well as magnets. You'll have one or the other, presumably. Oops, let's take this off because that's not lined up properly. See if I can get that off without ripping it. Before it really sets down, you can usually remove it. This is my fault, I haven't lined it up properly. Stuck it too far to one side. If you are going to remove something, then roll it back like this. Just roll it, roll it, roll it. Pull it back on itself. There we go. Right. Let's re-stick that. Fold that all out. Make sure it sticks properly this time. I do it to the right place. It's funny enough, it's quite fortunate if I make any mistakes and things, because you can see that it's easy to rectify things usually. There we go. There we go. That's better. I need a bit of a trim, but that's fine. Right, okay, so we haven't got this piece here covered yet, because if you imagine there's no ribbon there, we need to put our little 4-inch piece, our little 4-inch square on there like that, and attach the magnet to there and there for the closure. But because I've got a ribbon here, I can't put it on the top. So what I'm going to do with mine is have it inside so that it's like that. I think, no, because it will cover the pocket. So I'm going to do without this on mine. Right, okay, so now we just need to assemble the inside. So let's open it all up. Okay, prop that on there. Am I still filming? Just about. Right, so this page here, you will have labelled page 2 tunnel page, and that is for the booklet. So all we need to do is stick this to it. This covers that, so it doesn't need a backing sheet. Where did I do with my tweezers? Oh, there they are. So we're going to peel off the backing tape of the tunnel. Peel off. And peel off. Come on, don't mess about because I'm in a hurry. Right, we're going to hold it all underneath. In fact, I'm actually going to put some of this wet glue on it as well, just to be sure, so that I can remove it if I need to. Sorry, probably not in frame there. Not that you need to see me sticking glue on. I think you probably know how to do that by now. Okie dokie. Right, that's that done. I'm going to hold these carefully underneath, do the best we can with it. Fold this piece up at the bottom so that it holds itself down. Take this pocket and stick it down to the inside front page. There we go. Now what you can do, which I thought I had but I obviously haven't, is you can take a small piece, say about 1 inch, I don't have 1 inch at the moment, and cut a piece that will fit in the top here, and it will tuck down underneath here. I'll probably do that. So you cut it the same width as this and about 1 inch, and you slide it down just so that it covers this piece here. It will come down to about here, and it gives you a backing piece there. Right, and this is where your booklet will be fitting. So you can slide your booklet in, as many pages inside as you want to. I'm going to do mine half and half, so that fits like that. Okay. If we open this up, this is your envelope page. So you take your 2 envelopes, peel off the backing. So just before we start, you could use 1 envelope and just put it diagonally, sort of off center it a bit, but I'm using 2. I'm going to put 1 quite far down to the bottom. I hope you can see this. So I'm only going to leave a little small edge, maybe 1/8 of an inch, something like that, so that the person's got maximum room to open this up. And with the other one, I'm going to put it as close to the top as I can. I haven't made any photo mats or tags or anything yet. I wanted to see how much paper I had left over, but I need to print some more out. There we go. Right, and these in themselves are little pockets that you can put things behind. Oops, I need to press that down and burnish it. So that's your pocket page. That's your booklet page. This is your waterfall page. So let's move this out of the way. And your waterfall page, we have like this, and it's all stuck down to the backing. So you remove your tape. I would definitely use wet glue on here as well, because this is taking quite a bit of weight. So I'm going to take off all of the backing. There and there. I'm going to actually cover the back with a wet glue for extra strength and manoeuvrability. Right, make sure that you stick this the right way up, so the waterfall comes down, obviously. Line this up, centering it up, and sticking it down like that. And then your tag will fit behind your waterfall, because that's on a page, don't forget. So that will go in there like that, with your little tag popping out. And your closure tag will fit in the front here to keep the waterfall closed. Now we come to a little tricky bit. It may be okay, we'll try. You may need to cut a spare piece of this. It's possible that you will have to. So we're going to stick these with the flip opening this way, so that the pit that you stick down needs to stick here. Now the reason we had to cover it at the bottom first is because there will be an outside edge, and to try to cover that on its own is an absolute nightmare. So trust me, I tried it. So you need to apply your glue or your tape, whatever you're going to use, and we're going to cover this. We're going to put this, line it up with the bottom paper, the bottom edge of your designer series papers, and the inside score line here. This let's see if you can see it. There's the score line where you open the page there, and that's where this tab needs to line up to, so that when you shut it, you've got a little gap here that you can see. And the reason for that is that it needs to clear the thickness of the waterfall, which is here. Okay, so that's one down, and the other one. So I've lined this up with the bottom, I hope you can see this, with the bottom edge of the papers that are all at the same level, so it's about 1/8 of an inch up. Now I'm just going to adhere the top one, and I'm going to stick that level with the top edge of the papers. That's up here, and it leaves a gap in the middle, which is decorative, but it's also fairly essential so that these flips don't keep knocking into each other. Right, now what you can do is to cut another piece of this same designer series paper and stick it over these two pieces here, like this and this. So that's those front page flips. Okay, that's your waterfall page. Let's move all this stuff out of the way. I've got an absolute mountain of these backing papers. Right, now you can fold that over, keep it out of the way for the moment, and we'll work on page 6, the centre. So page 6 is your page that has the 2 flips on it, like that. Okay, and you have those magnetised, or not if you don't want to. So we're going to stick that down. So fairly simple task. It just, because it's on a backing sheet, it just sticks down to the folio. Gosh, I'm having such trouble with this backing paper, with this tape backing. But like I say, I shouldn't be complaining because it just shows you how strong the tape is. It won't even release its own backing paper. Amazing. Gosh, there we go. Right, make sure you've got it up the right way with the top flip opening, and basically adhere it. Adhere it. There we go. Adhere it to the back so that it opens like this. Right, now for our fold out pages. This is page 7 and this is page 5. Right, now page 5, let's work on page 5, which is the one on the left first. This is page 5. Take these pieces out. Page 5, yes, so you should have your pockets in here. You should also have all of these pages covered, and you can put a strip down here as well if you want to. So let's take off this backing paper. Now this one you have to kind of pay attention to. It's important that you get it the right way round. What we're going to do is we're going to flatten this out here. Maybe flatten it the other, no, you have to flatten it out this way. And we're going to adhere this spine, keep these out of the way a moment. We're going to adhere this spine here right up next to the fold on here. So where this opens up, this hinge opens up, you have a score line here, and we're going to match the back edge of this to that score line but not go over it. Okay, so this is where you have to kind of pay attention a bit. And I think the easiest way to do it is to line it up. It matches top and bottom. It's the same size page as all of the other pages. Make sure that it's straight. Like that. Make sure that that's straight, which I can't see, but I'm hoping it is. And then basically open this, butt it up and open this onto it. Get my fingers out of there. Up and open that onto it, and then as you flatten that down, That should stick, or at least enough for you to be able to get a grasp of it. Oh, I've not lined it up properly. How irritating. Like I say, it's not the easiest thing to do, and obviously I should definitely have used wet glue as well. Let's use some wet glue. So don't forget, it's this back edge here, this piece here, that needs to line up with this spine here. I'm going to try doing it this way. Just lining it up, making sure the edges are straight. Before I really burnish it down, I'm going to stand it up and have a look at it. I think that's right. Just takes a bit of care. Right, let's burnish that. This is kind of why I've left it till last, because it's not the easiest piece to do. So we're going to burnish that down, move those out of the way, burnish this down, and then make sure that our album will still open and close, which it does. That's fine, perfect. So you will have a plain page, your pocket page, and then you will have design series paper pages like this, okay, all the way through. Close this up. Now we're going to do the other side. So tuck that under, out of the way. This side you need to, again, get your spine edge here, take off your backing papers, two. Inside here is going to be your pocket page, don't forget. Now this time, this spine, let's put a bit of wet glue on it. This time this spine needs to line up with the back edge. So the front edge, do you remember last time we looked at the back edge? Well, this one, the front edge here, this bit here, needs to line up with this fold here. Okay, so it's marginally easier. Just make sure that you don't go over the score line and that you get it pretty much as straight as you can. It doesn't have to be absolutely up to the score line, but pretty much as close as you can get it, which is about there for me. Okay, I'm going to stick that down. That's your pocket page, and these are all of your flip pages. Now the reason that we've left this gap here and we haven't on here, we've left the gap the other side, is so that they will go together. That one goes in first and then that one goes in, and we'll kind of, they'll miss each other. Okay, so then this all folds up. That's your little tag. That all folds up together. Your magnets hold it, she says. Yeah, your magnets will hold it. It all goes together like that, or your ribbon will hold it. which I'm going to put on in a minute. And then all you need to do is cover this. So if you're going to use the square closure like this on here as your extra magnet, right, you need to cover this front and back with design series paper, which will be cut to 3 7/8, which is 9.8 centimeters. So cover it front and back, and then you need to, so let's ignore this piece of ribbon for the moment because I'm cleverly using both, messily using both. So holding this all together, you will stick this, centering it up like that to this page here. Once this has been, no, sorry, you will cover the front of this but not the back. Okay, you'll center it up and stick it, which is just by a little bit here, onto the front cover. Then on the back you will apply another magnet here, which I can do because I'm going to stick mine inside. I made a mistake, didn't I? So you're going to stick another magnet, unless of course you're just using ribbon ties, in which case you obviously don't need any more magnets. So you're going to stick a magnet to this front edge. Then, as we did before, we're going to have this sticky side up. Oops, there we go. Sticky side up. Drop your other magnet onto it. Line this up where it's going to go on the front outside edge for you. It won't be on, for me, it will be on the inside. So line it up where you want it to go. Try to leave an equal distance, this side, this, and this. And then basically stick your magnet down. So I can still do that. There we go. There we go. That's the magnet front and back cover. Now, of course, we can remove all of these and stick our front cover paper over the top. And again, I've stuck 3 pieces down here because we've got magnets to contend with. Okay, so that will all fold up. No, it does need to fold this way. That's that. needs to fold this way. Once you've folded it a few times, it will get used to where it needs to go. And then if you have a ribbon closure like this, you will just tie it up, trim the edges. Oops, it needs to go this way around. And trim the ends to however long you want them to be. And I sear all my ribbons with a lighter. You just have to run that along there like that and like that. Okay, so apart from embellishments, this is your folio album that opens like this. It folds together. You've got plenty of room inside here for photos and things, whatever you want to put. This will either hold with magnets, as I say, and in which case you'll have your square piece on the front here, or you can close it with a ribbon, and it opens like this and like this. There's your booklet, your flaps, your waterfall, your tags behind your waterfall. Hindsight, I probably would do the tags the other way around. They're easier to grasp hold of. You can get several behind there. Then you have your flip pages. You need to make a long tag that will fit inside here. You'll have your flip pages. This is your pocket where you can put, you know, all sorts of things, whatever you want to put in there. And it's quite a big pocket because it's got this big gusset here, and also because it's a wraparound pocket, it's quite loose, so you could probably get, I don't know, 5, 6 things in there maybe. These pages that are covered with DSP you can put 2 photos or 1 large one, or, you know, if you have some nice scenery paper, maybe you don't need to put any photos on it at all. So that opens out like that and like that and like that. It'll all open out concertina style, and it will also open out concertina style the other way. Then you have your flap to the left, which is exactly the same. You also have your concertina style pages here, which should fold this way like that. And then inside here again you have flip up and flip down, and this will hold not only photos stuck to it or whatever you want to do, but it will also hold free floating mats because it's possibly magnetized. Okay, so let's close that up. Then you close your left side in first because it hasn't got a big gap here. So you close your left side in first. Then because that's got a big gap, you close your right side in. And then you fold it over, fold it all up, and bring... Why is this doing it? Why is this doing this? It's because I haven't scored that spine as well as I could have done. There we go. Right, and then you bring all of this in together like this, and it's either going to stick with the magnets or you're going to tie your ribbon. Okay, I hope you've stuck with it to the end, endured it. I hope you do make this album, and, you know, please show us this folio, sorry, and please show us if you do. Okay, take care. I'll post pictures once I've embellished it, and then you'll be able to see kind of what I did with mine. Take care. Bye now.